Hello, good morning. Yes, you're not being subjected to my beautiful looks this morning because this morning is the first day of 3 days without my teeth. And the reason for that, of course, won't go into the gory details, but they don't fit quite as well now that my gums have settled. And I went back to have a couple of more impressions to make them fit better. So now they're fitting, hopefully they will be fitting better. I'll be able to carry on with my new lifestyle here in the Philippines with a pair of well-fitted teeth. But that's not why I brought you out here to walk along this little barangay road and listen and see all of the things that go on in the morning of any Philippine day. But more about thoughts for the day. My thought for today really comes about by the harsh truth. Harsh, H-A-R-S-H. The harsh truth of life anywhere in the world. Statistics will always show you that nothing is forever. What I mean by that is, of course, many of you have already had relationships go sour in the West. After all, why are you here, he said. And maybe those that are contemplating coming here, why would you be coming to the Philippines for more? To be further away from safety, to be further away from the reality of being able to sort a lot of things out in a more civilized way. I say to sort things out. You know the system that operates in your own country. For instance, in Australia, you only have to be separated for 2 years. There's no reason for a divorce. Nobody's at fault. It's called a no-fault situation. And with that in mind, it's so easy because within 28 days plus 1 day, your relationship in relation to the marriage is all over. It only becomes a little bit more complicated if you have children and you have to make arrangements, sort out who gets what, and property, all those sorts of things. They come in addition, but they don't generally affect the divorce itself. Here, of course, there is no divorce. There's no end to it. People, Filipina, suffer, I won't say in silence, but they certainly suffer as a result of not being able to end a relationship in a formal way with a certain amount of guarantee that it won't cost an arm and a leg. I don't know quite, even if they brought it in here, whether the reality of a divorce here in the Philippines will ever mean relief to millions of people living unhappily together, or maybe even separated, worrying about the other strange law in 2025 where adultery still applies. It's a criminal offence almost. You can go to jail for it. And therefore, it hangs over everybody's head. Because with that hanging over your head, how can you then move on in life if you find another romantic partner, even by mistake. Because you also have the inbuilt way of a Filipino, the character of many people here in the Philippines is they can't help it. It's not a criticism of them or of the country. It's just simply one of those things that is just part of their persona. I often remind myself, when you watch these soap operas every day on GMA and you watch how they portray so much of the drama within relationships, mother, father, son, daughter, son-in-law, they always seem to be fighting. Evil grandmother, dominant father. These things happen. It's part of life. But for Filipino, the only ones that can afford, generally, to get divorced are superstars who, of course, often get married cleverly overseas. They do that because knowing that most marriages, or should say a high percentage, fail within many years. And they don't want the stigma. They want to move on. And after all, they're celebrities. They want to show the world their new love, the person that is now occupying their everyday thought, and becomes a photo opportunity for the success of a new relationship. Just like Nicole Kidman and her husband of some nearly 20 years now have just announced they're going to divorce. You know, these things happen. But here in the Philippines, you guys come here thinking, I've come to paradise. These things won't happen. She's comes from a good family. She's going to be perfect. Sorry guys, no one is perfect, including yourself. You can be thinking you're doing everything right. You can think that every aspect of your life is caring, sharing, and looking after the loved one, the one you call your soulmate, the one that you used to take photos of every minute of the day, and show your friends back home how happy and glorious life was. Well, things go sour. And when they go sour here in the Philippines, they really do go sour. There's no turning back. There's no forgiveness. Very little at all. The only way that you can possibly hope is, as we foreigners live in hope, that things will maybe calm down and that what was a dreadful event will suddenly come, common sense will prevail. But the likelihood of that is usually very remote. There really has to be a strong mental and physical bond to each other. And that's where we get into another area of life, living with a Filipino. You know guys, you are the prize. You're the prize in the sense for your Filipina. But remember, she is your prize also. And therefore, for you to think that everything's going to be honky-dory just because you live with a beautiful Filipina means nothing. Because a small situation, a small issue that conjures up the idea of disrespect, a very common expression used here, respect, respect for this person, respect for that institution. This kind of use of a word is a bit like racism. It's always dragged out as a last resort. You don't show me any more respect. Well, when the woman is screaming at you, what can you do? You walk away, turn your back on her, and hope that things will calm down, only to recover and return to the home to discover weeks, sometimes only days, of no talking to you. So what can you do? Okay, just ignore her. Then of course, she'll get upset that you're ignoring her. And the problem continues. They're digging a hole here, as they've been doing all the way along the road here, putting these cables in for a phone tower. So they've been going down the road. As you can see, the fields are full of water and the rice crops are coming back up again. But back to my point, and that is that whether we're the prize or she's the prize, it's like winning the lottery. After a while, both just get used to each other, used to the money, used to the feeling of where we're at. And many of us make the mistake, and I say the mistake of thinking that money will be the answer. We'll buy a new car, we'll build a home. All these things are good for many of us, but not necessarily a perfect answer to anything. Because as the song goes, can't buy me love. And that's so true. What everybody wants in life is peace and harmony and happiness. And I do think that you will find it here. But in many cases it may well be once or twice, maybe even 3 times before you find somebody that you truly, I should say, blessed with. Because it is a blessing if you can find that peace and harmony in your life, that where everything, no matter how little or how large, can be sorted out in a reasonable and happy result. And one thing that we must remember is that the Philippines, as beautiful as it is, the people, as friendly as they are just that. They're people. And all of us, whether we're foreigners or Filipinos, have feelings, have desires, have ambitions and dreams. And without the will or understanding to work your way through problems, none of us will end up in a happy world. So the idea that somehow, like I say, money is important for everybody. We need to pay our bills, we need to buy food, we need shelter. But we also need to realize that coming to the point in life where we're all retiring, we also need to understand that we need to reset our lives, reset the pace and reset the expectations, as I've often spoken about. If we can't do that, if we want to replicate what we had in the West, here in the Philippines, regardless of how much money we have, to a degree we can find a balance. But whether we replicate it or not, is that really what we want? Do we really want the 85-inch screen TV or the massive great big four-wheel drive that looks like we're worth $1 million? A big fancy house? After all, anybody who builds a home here for one's loved ones is doing just that. They're not building it for themselves. Of course they will live in it, but they're doing it to provide for their loved ones for when they're gone. Those that are fortunate enough to leave cash or annuities to continue after they've passed this planet, good, great, another asset, another monetary gain for your Filipino family and children. But remember, many of us can't do that. So it is upon us to try and, while we are alive, to show and demonstrate simple ways of increasing one's income beyond having to do washing, ironing and cleaning houses for other people. When in fact you've been used to going to resorts now and again, having nice meals out at restaurants. Wouldn't you want her to be able to achieve that after you're gone, to a certain degree? Why should she step back either? After all, it comes to us eventually, all of us. And if she demonstrates this to her children when she finally disappears off the planet too, will be able to take up the mantle and continue with the training and skills that you've given them to show them how easy it is to find a little bit of extra income. No need to sell yourself short. Use the advantage that we have in, I suppose, being a mentor to them while we're alive. Not in a snobby way, not in a condescending way, but in a way that can benefit everybody. And there's an understanding. It's most important that they understand why you're doing it. It's not just getting pesos every week. It's about making sure that their future has a certain amount of permanence, security. And only we, with the resources at our disposal, can show them in a small way. Show them how a small amount of capital put in the right way, applied in the right way, with a good solid business plan, can actually, in the long term, become a golden egg. So guys, that's my thought for the day. I've wandered down a bit of road that goes to the left of me, or should I say the right of me, and you haven't had any difficulty hearing me, I hope. But for the next few days you won't be seeing me, but you'll be hearing me. And therefore, good morning. You'll just be hopefully listening to my videos, and when I get my nice little pair of shiny teeth back, I'll be able to smile again, as wrinkly as I might be. Anyway guys, you have a great day. Cock-a-doodle-doos and the chicken in the way, all part of the image of the Philippines. The sari-sari stores, the lovely early morning, cool mornings walking, sun coming up, and I can feel the heat already rising on my face. Bye now.